Greetings, everyone. Ryder Bullock with you. Welcome to night 2 of the 2026 NBA Draft. The first round may be in the books, but if history has taught us anything, it's that championships are often built just as much in the second round as they are at the top of the draft. Tonight, 30 more players will realize their NBA dreams while front offices continue searching for the next overlooked talent who could become tomorrow's star. And before the first pick of the evening is even on the clock, the trade activity has already begun. The Los Angeles Lakers have acquired the 56th overall pick from the Chicago Bulls in exchange for cash considerations, giving Rob Pelinka another opportunity to add a young prospect late in tonight's draft. It's a modest move on paper, but one that reflects how active teams remain in searching for value at every stage of the board. That comes just hours after one of the most complex deals of the draft. The Knicks, Mavericks, Lakers, and Suns completed a 4-team trade that reshaped the back end of the first round. Dallas selected Sergio DeLaura. The Lakers landed Cameron Carr. Phoenix came away with Koa Pete, and New York added multiple future second-round assets while continuing to stockpile draft capital for the years ahead. Now the attention turns to the players still waiting for their names to be called. Duke guard Isaiah Evans remains the biggest name available, followed by North Carolina center Henry Vassar, Arkansas guard Malik Thomas, Cincinnati forward Baba Miller, Louisville scorer Ryan Conwell, Germany's Jack Kyle, BYU veteran Richie Saunders, Purdue floor general Brandon Smith, Houston sharpshooter Emmanuel Sharp, and St. John's forward Dylan Mitchell. There is still plenty of talent left on the board, and many executives believe several of tonight's selections can develop into long-term NBA contributors. As we begin with the 31st overall pick, every organization enters the night with a different priority. Some are looking for immediate depth. Others are willing to take a chance on upside, and many remain active on the phones as trades continue to develop. The first round may have made headlines, but night 2 has a way of producing some of the league's best stories. The next chapter of the 2026 NBA Draft starts now. We will have full draft coverage over the next half hour, but first, here's what's trending in the NBA. The biggest stories of the night begins at the top of last night's draft. A.J. Debonsa is headed to Washington. Darren Peterson lands in Utah. Cameron Boozer begins a new era in Memphis, and Caleb Wilson gives Chicago another athletic cornerstone to build around. 4 franchises believe they've found players capable of changing the direction of their organizations for years to come. One of the feel-good moments of the evening belonged to Kareem Lopez. The 19-year-old forward became the first Mexico-born player ever selected in the first round of the NBA draft. Originally chosen by Detroit before his rights were dealt to Memphis, Lopez quoted an opportunity to inspire the next generation of basketball players in Mexico. It's another reminder that the NBA's global reach continues to grow. Meanwhile, Dallas may have quietly had one of the most intriguing nights of any team. Just hours after officially introducing Dusty May as head coach, the Mavericks reunited him with former Michigan standout Morris Johnson Jr. at 9th overall. Johnson wasn't the only Wolverine to hear his name called early, as Yaxel Lindenberg went to Golden State and Ade Mara joined Oklahoma City, giving the reigning national champions 3 lottery selections. The Memphis Grizzlies were among the busiest teams on the board. They selected Cameron Boozer with the 3rd overall pick before making multiple draft night trades that ultimately landed them Kareem Lopez while adding a collection of future second-round selections. Memphis continues to stockpile young talent as it reshapes its roster for the future. Chicago also made a statement. Caleb Wilson arrives as perhaps the draft's most explosive athlete, while the Bulls later added Texas guard Dalen Swain to strengthen the backcourt. With a new front office, a new coaching staff, and 2 first-round picks, the Bulls are hoping this draft marks the beginning of a new chapter. And with round 1 now complete, attention quickly shifts to tonight. Plenty of experienced college stars and international prospects remain available, meaning tonight could produce the next wave of steals that every NBA front office hopes to uncover. That's what's going on at the Barclays Center. Meanwhile, in Singapore, day 2 of the NBA Rising Stars Invitational has begun to separate the contenders from the rest of the field. With pool play nearing its conclusion, every possession is becoming more meaningful as teams chase a spot in the knockout rounds. On the boys' side, several schools made emphatic statements. Jubilee High School rolled past the Vulnanil International School 95-61. Tong Tek Secondary High School overwhelmed Phuket Jali School 85-21. Assumption College Thornbury earned an 82-68 victory over Singapore's Institute of Technical Education. Perhaps the most dominant performance came from Tori Jokyu High School of Japan, which cruised to a commanding 91-22 win over Ha Chong Institution. Meanwhile, Kongbok High School, Berwick College, to Tsinghua University High School, Far Eastern University Dillman, and Tori Jokyu all remain unbeaten atop their respective pools after 2 days of competition. The girls' tournament featured several one-sided performances as well. Yali High School continued its impressive run with a 74-23 victory over Jubilee High School to improve to 2-0. Saika Girls High School delivered one of the day's biggest wins, defeating Ha Chong Institution 105-21, while the University of Santo Thomas handled Royal International School 75-45. Assumption College Thornbury defeated Singapore's Institute of Technical Education 82-68, and Yangming High School closed the day with a convincing 97-49 victory over Wan Onap Ukan School. The updated standings show the tournament beginning to take shape. On the boys' side, Kongbok High School, Berwick College, to Tsinghua University High School, and Far Eastern University Dillman share first place in their respective pools with unbeaten records, while Jubilee High School, Tong Tek Secondary, Assumptions College, Thornbury, and Torrey Jianghuak remain firmly in the hunt. In the girls' division, Heap Yun School, Roeville Secondary College, Gwangju Spear Girls High School, and Yali High School sit atop the pools with several key matchups still to come before the semifinals is finalized. With just a few days remaining, the margin for error continues to shrink. Every win inches a school closer to the championship bracket, while every loss makes the road significantly more difficult. And day 3 of competition taking place later tonight in Singapore, and it has been another outstanding showcase of the next generation of basketball talent from across the Asia-Pacific region. We will be keeping you updated on that tournament all week, but it is draft night, so let's focus on the draft. And round 1 is in the books, but don't make the mistake of thinking the NBA draft is over. In a lot of ways, tonight is where front offices earn their paychecks. Everybody's celebrating the lottery picks. Everybody knows who went first. That was A.J. Debonta. He's headed to Washington. We know Darren Peterson's going to Utah. Those headlines have already been written, but tonight, this is where championship organizations separate themselves from everybody else. You find rotation players in the second round. You find specialists. You find developmental prospects. And every once in a while, you find an all-star that 30 teams wish they had taken earlier. The New York Knicks opened the night with the 31st overall pick after making several trades last night that gave them a collection of second-round selections. It'll be fascinating to see whether they keep the pick or move it again. North Carolina big man Henry Vassar has been linked as a logical fit if they stay put, giving New York another skilled front court option behind their veteran core. Keep an eye on Brooklyn. They surprised people again last night by selecting another guard in Mikal Brown Jr., and they still own pick 43. The Nets remain one of the league's biggest mysteries. They seem willing to take the best talent available regardless of position, and that's exactly what makes them so unpredictable. As for potential steals, and there are plenty of steals, Ryan Conwell out of Louisville is one name scouts continue to mention. He shoots it, competes defensively, and plays with toughness. Denver at 35 could make an ideal landing spot if he's still available. Arkansas guard Malik Thomas has first-round talent if he becomes a more efficient scorer. Richie Saunders, despite recovering from an ACL injury, has the shooting ability that every NBA team covets. And then, of course, you got Purdue point guard Brandon Smith, who I have said I would stay away from. He's undersized, okay? However, if you need an assist guy, he is your man. He is the NCAA's all-time assist leader, and I think he lacks IQ. I think he lacks basketball IQ. But he can pass the ball. He can contribute to a team. He just isn't going to give you many points, and I don't. I would stay away from him, but that's just me. I think the biggest question tonight isn't necessarily who gets drafted, it's who finds the right situation. A second round pick joining a stable organization with veteran leadership can have a much better NBA career than a late first rounder walking into chaos. Fit matters, development matters, patience matters, and by the end of the night, we won't remember every name that gets called, but 5 years from now, there's a very good chance we'll be looking back at one of tonight's selections and asking the same question basketball fans always ask: how did every team pass on this guy? So that's draft night, and that's why the second round is always worth watching. You know, after you let the first round breathe for about 24 hours, a couple things really begin to step out. First of all, I thought this draft had a clear top tier, and those players landed in places that made a lot of sense. A.J. Debonsa going to Washington, Darren Peterson falls to Utah at number 2, and there are plenty of people around the league who believe the Jazz may have walked away with the best player in the draft class, and that may be true. Memphis quietly lands Cameron Boozer at 3, a player many believe is about as safe a franchise cornerstone as you find. But what really caught my attention wasn't necessarily the lottery. It was how teams approached building their roster. Dallas reunited Morris Johnson Jr. with new head coach Dusty May. That wasn't simply drafting talent, it was drafting culture. Okay? And who needs culture right now? It is Dallas. And that pick fits exactly the identity Dallas appears to be trying to establish. That's a move that may not dominate headlines today, but could look awfully smart in a few years. And how about Oklahoma City? Adding size with Ade Mara, right? Man, oh man, you are continuing to do what you do better than anybody over the last several years. They didn't chase the headline. They filled needs. Ade Mara gives them another massive body inside, while Bennett Strikes adds a shooting and versatility to a roster that's already among the deepest in basketball. That's how sustained contenders operate. I also thought San Antonio had an excellent night. After watching Victor Wembanyama battle through a physical NBA Finals, they responded by getting bigger, stronger, and tougher. You got Terrence Reed Jr., and then, of course, Jaden Quaintance. And, you know, those aren't glamorous selections, but they're practical ones. And sometimes the smartest draft picks are the ones that involve a problem or solve a problem instead of winning a press conference. And those two guys on a court are going to create a lot of problems for other teams. And then, of course, don't overlook what New York accomplished. Even without making a first-round selection, the Knicks kept trading back, stockpiling second-round picks, and creating financial flexibility. In today's NBA, where every dollar matters under the salary cap, that's asset management. It isn't exciting television, but championship teams think several moves ahead instead of one move at a time. The Knicks right now are playing very good chess. The other thing you notice after sleeping on the draft is just how many quality players are still available. That's a credit to the depth of this class. There are experienced college players, international prospects, shooters, defenders, and developmental big men still waiting for the opportunity tonight. A lot of careers are going to begin in the second round, and history tells us a few of those careers are going to turn into something much bigger than anybody expects. We know Jalen Brunson went in the second round, Nikola Jokic went in the second round, Dennis Rodman was a second round pick, and so you never know, right? And we sit here and we always talk about the lottery, but sometimes you get an MVP or a guy that's going to break a 53-year championship drought on night 2. So as we head into night 2, remember this: the first round creates the headlines, but the second round often creates the superstars, and every NBA front office is hoping that somewhere in the next 30 picks is the player everyone else overlooked. Round 2 coming your way in about 8 minutes, and the draft doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? Every pick that's made tonight is influenced by everything that's happened over the last week. The biggest story, of course, remains Giannis Antetokounmpo heading to Miami. That move completely changed the landscape of the Eastern Conference. Milwaukee is suddenly rebuilding. Miami believes it's back in championship contention, and every team in the conference has a chance to ask itself whether it's good enough to keep up. Then you got the Lakers. They made sure Austin Reeves wasn't going anywhere, locking him into a long-term contract, but the LeBron James conversation isn't going away. There are still rumors about his future, and until he signs on the dotted line, every contender is paying attention. Boston, another fascinating team. The Celtics came into the offseason trying to land Giannis. That didn't happen, and now Jaylen Brown's name continues to surface on the trading block. So when a player of that caliber becomes available, every front office has to be ready, because one trade can completely reshape the league overnight. Out west, keep an eye on the Clippers. We know that Keaton Wagler is drafted there. That's where he's at. He got on a plane today and landed in Inglewood, but Kawhi Leonard's future remains uncertain, and multiple teams are reportedly monitoring his situation, and that's another domino effect that could fall late this summer. And of course, you've got the allegations and everything else. Meanwhile, contenders are trying to thread the needle between winning now and planning for tomorrow. Oklahoma City keeps adding young talent while staying in position to compete for championships. Golden State is balancing Stephen Curry's championship window with the need to get younger. New York just won an NBA title, but it's also working around the realities of the second apron and building for the future without sacrificing the present. And that's why tonight matters. Second round picks may not make headlines tomorrow morning, but they become valuable trade pieces. They become inexpensive rotation players. They become insurance when a roster gets expensive. Every general manager is thinking 2 and 3 moves ahead. So while tonight is about young players hearing their names called, it's also about positioning for free agency, preparing for trades, and building the next chapter of an offseason that's already moving at full speed. The draft may be the event on the calendar tonight, but make no mistake, the 2026 NBA offseason has already begun. So as we wrap things up, here's what I'll be watching in the second round as it gets underway. First, expect plenty of movement. Teams at the top of the round, including the Knicks and the Grizzlies, have already been connected to trade discussions, and history tells us the second round can become one long negotiation between front offices. Don't be surprised if the draft board changes several times before the night's over. Second, keep an eye on the experienced college players. Every year we become fascinated with upside, but veteran players who can shoot, defend, and accept a role often end up having long NBA careers. Tonight is where those players usually hear their names called. Third, watch the international prospects. Some will come over immediately. Others may stay overseas for another season or two, but smart organizations have built contenders by finding value internationally long before everyone else catches on. And finally, don't judge this draft tonight. There will be winners and losers declared before midnight. There will be grades handed out, social media reactions, and plenty of overreactions, but the reality is we won't know this class for 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. Some first-round picks won't live up to expectations. We know that. Some second-round picks will become rotation players. We know that. And somewhere tonight there's probably a future all-star waiting to hear his name called, and we know that as well. That's what makes draft night special. Every selection represents hope. Every franchise believes it's one step closer to building something bigger. We'll have every pick, every trade, and every breaking story covered throughout the night. We'll have our draft reaction show tonight immediately following the draft as well. The draft tonight is on ESPN. Starts in about 4 minutes. For everyone here at the Hardwood Report, I'm Ryder Bullock. The second round of the 2026 NBA Draft is moments away.